Yeah.
So she's with a company called United One Real Estate. And well, that's great. But she says, yeah, I used to work for a small little company and now it's a big company. So I think she feels a little lost. That's fine. And Dane, you can tell me, she's not in an area that we're going to interface with Mark, are we?
I don't think so. And I did talk to her about the fact that, we are growing our business and that we never pit our, realtors, against each other. It wasn't
That's
like,
right.
it wasn't that Mark was like, I want all the greater Birmingham area, right? He was like, I want, kind of this part of town, that kind of stuff. So I
Yep.
think she's more up in, let's look at a map really fast here. I think she's more up in Athens, Alabama.
So did you understand why you're looking at that? Did you understand my email about debt ratios?
I did. No, I understood that. I meant they also need a lower rate because they can't afford that amount. But
Oh, no, I understand that.
yeah,
But my point was, I think that if you go back and you mark that
no, I
1003
think
that
you're
those
right. Yep.
bills are paying off, then
Yep.
I think you're going to get a DU approved and we won't have that first paragraph. I
Yep.
think it's the back end that's causing that paragraph. So,
Yep. So real quick, if you look at Huntsville, like she is like northwest a little bit of it.
okay,
And I think
groovy.
and Mark is kind of in this Redstone Arsenal area, which is southwest of Huntsville. So yeah.
Cool. Cool, cool,
Anywho,
cool,
and so
cool.
yeah, so I'm working on that. I asked Ann about her last names. I haven't heard back, but she got Johnny on the spot to Capital One, and I haven't gotten the email back from Credco, so I might
Okay.
just have to call them.
Okay. Yeah,
But
that's
they
a
did
pretty
get,
simple thing.
yeah, but they did get that new. I think what happened is I had sent that initial report, and we went back and changed. Chris kept going back and forth. Chris needs to be the primary borrower. He is. He needs to be primary borrower of the air account. He is. I will reattach the same report I've attached the last 4 times that you haven't looked at since the initial one, showing that he has been, that kind of stuff. So
Yep.
we got
Okay.
there.
We got there. Okay. So it's my turn. Tell me how phone calls, if any, have gone this week.
They've gone well. I've made it through about half the list. I did call all the DNCs as well, so that made the list quite a bit longer than just the ones that were on it. And I've gotten only like 2 live people on the phone. One of them said he's working with his realtor, and then hung up on me. And the other lady was in the hospital and wanted me to call back, perhaps as early as tomorrow.
Great. Hey, that's wonderful. You left messages. You're putting the
Yep.
name out there. So all better that you're doing that. Okay. Well, so I'm going to share. Here's one of those value added things. You ready? Remember I told you that Black Knight and ICE are merging, and in that process they had to get rid of Optimal Blue. Well, that was groovy, and so I did a deep dive today, and I found a hidden menu. And I'm going to share my screen because I want you to see something that should make Dane and you guys extremely happy. Okay. So can you see that, or do I need to make it bigger?
I can.
Yep.
Okay. Do you look what's over here after we go AVM, loan balances, equity? What does it say?
I like that.
First trust deed rate. Oh, and if they have a second, the second trust deed rate.
Well,
look at that.
Wow.
That is fantastic.
Wait. One of them there is 18. The one at 13, the number whatever is 18%. Okay, so you go, wow, what the heck is going on with this? So you look at that. There's a bunch of 12s. There's a bunch of 12s. There's another 18 here. So again, these are people that have loans that need to be refinanced. And I was so surprised. There's more double digits than there are single digits. Does that make sense?
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
That's a scary thing when you scroll through this list and you go 12, 12, 12, 18, 12, 9, 10, 9, 9, 10, and you just go, wow.
It'll be funny to go, rates are high, but not that high.
Exactly. This is one on Cameron Street. It's got a 21.91 interest rate.
21.
Is that in Brush, Colorado, of all places, too?
Huh. Yeah. So one
That's
bedroom,
a good place to go bird hunting, boys.
It's on a 9,200 square foot lot. It's $140,000 value. They only owe 10, and they're paying 21.91 interest rate. I mean, it's unfathomable that any of these people have done it. So we're going to go through the scripts today, and my favorite script is it by choice or by circumstance, and
hey,
that one.
Terry, can you go up to that? Can you go up to that one in Brush again that we were looking at?
Yeah, hold on. There's one with a higher interest rate, even lower. Hold on, it's giving me a hard time.
Where's that one again?
That is wild.
Sorry. Okay, yeah, there it is. So, and how do we know it's a lot?
The lot size is.
Oh,
can you see
it's
my
just
cursor?
a lot size. Yeah.
It's just a lot size. It's a lot size.
But it's a single family residence.
Yeah, it's a 1 bedroom, 1 bath, 600.
No, for a second I was like, are we talking about a land loan? Like, that's not gonna.
Oh no.
Nope.
No.
Perfect.
We strip out.
I misunderstood.
That's okay. One of the things that's happened with the new interface as well, so you understand, is the list. The new cardio report that's taken so long to get done. I was able, because when you have a mobile home, if you mislabel that in the multiple listing service, when it pulls out of the data, it pulls it out as a single family or sometimes as the manufactured, and it's not. So ICE allows me to go back and cross-reference it and say, is it paying personal property taxes or is it paying real property taxes on a piece of property? So what's happened is, I don't know, maybe Adams County had 30,000 properties in it. Well, now it probably has 27 or 28,000 properties that show up on the cardio report because it's stripping out all the mislabeled mobile homes. Okay, so that's really cool. So this list right now is only single family, condo, townhouse, or manufactured on a permanent foundation. That's it. I was going to show you down here. There's one that's actually got a 28% interest rate.
Hey Terry,
Wow.
were you able to carve out the trusts and LLCs and all that good stuff?
I haven't done anything with this one at all. This was just to see if I could what the interest rates look like when they came out. Because again, I was like, okay, what are they going to look like when they come out? Because I don't know. Sometimes you've got to put a performance variance or something to do the calculation properly.
Yeah.
There was one that was 28 here. Oh, here we'll just sort it. We'll sort this. We'll sort largest to smallest. Okay, sort me, baby. And oh, look, two of them up there, 39%.
How is this the same guy? Same guy? Same property or different property?
Well, let's see. Nope, two different condos. 719 East Hopkins, number one. Yeah.
Beautiful.
430 square foot, 680 square feet. They got a ton of equity. $1 million houses with 39% interest rate. 30, 28, 27, 25, 25, 24, 25. I mean, you look at this.
How is that possible?
Look at all these 21s.
It's like they were just, living under a rock the last 3 years?
Yep. I don't know, man.
I feel like there might be more to that story, but I guess we'll find out, right?
I'm sure there's lots of these stories, but look at all these 12s.
Yeah.
You sit there and you go, I don't get it. But again, some people are just, I don't know, it's no big deal. I don't want to refinance.
I was just gonna say that's like human nature, people, they know they probably should do it. They just it's the same with investing, everyone knows they should be saving for retirement, but
I know.
Behavioral economics, man, I'm telling you.
I know. It's okay. I'm running for president. I want to go get arrested so I can run for president.
Perfect.
Don't start, Terry. Don't start, man.
It's okay. Okay. So this is the high rate cold call script, and it's pretty similar, but not the same. Hey, my name is Dane DeVoy, and I want to introduce myself and make sure you got the email I just sent you. because Chris is sending out the emails. Public records indicate that the interest rate on your home is really high. Is that by choice or by circumstance? Okay, if it's by choice, well, why haven't you refinanced to a lower interest rate? And then they'll tell you it's their short-term balance to be completely paid off soon, or they've got a few months, few years left on their loan, or maybe they're planning to sell it soon, or by circumstance they'll tell you, my credit's not good, or my income's right now, or I'm unemployed, or I'm disabled. You're just kind of doing the interview, and you keep hammering the home of, well, we could look, a hard money loan with equity right now is going to be 11 or 12%. That's a hell of a lot better than 39%. Okay.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it's like, David's probably making a field day here, but the idea here is this is something that you could be going for. Okay. So, and then when you look at it, if there's enough equity, did you know with your rate and your equity, we could lower your interest rate and pay off your credit cards and other loans? Did you know that we could make your overall debt payments much lower? Wait for the answers. Do you have any questions I can answer about this process? If they're talkative, ask them, did you take advantage of the government pandemic relief act and skip payments? Because that's going to be a key. One of the things to remember when you're talking to people about refinancing is if they had a $400,000 loan with a $2,500 payment and they skipped 24 months worth of payments, that's $60,000 that they're paying back every month for the next 5 years. That's $1,000 a month. When you take that $60,000 and you amortize it over 30 years, even at today's rate, they'll have a lower overall payment than the $3,500. So that's why you're asking it. Okay. And then one of the key questions to ask is, are you paying the forbearance money back? So we're all clear on this pandemic thing. If the people have their pandemic forbearance, if they got the notice, they have to have made 3 payments. They don't have to make the 3 payments with the forbearance, but they do have to have made the 3 regular payments in order for us to be able to refinance and do a rate and term refinance, even paying off the forbearance. And I'll
3
tell you
payments in
one.
a row, right? Three
payments
regular payments in a row. Okay.
Yep. And did you know that now the federal government would allow you to pay off student debt and consider it a rate and term refinance?
You did tell us that.
Yep. So that's a really good thing as well. Not that, most of those loans are, 2-3%, especially on the new repayment plans. But again, if they're looking to get rid of it, it might be of benefit. The other thing to consider is that Habitat for Humanity lady is that would be considered a rate and term refinance because that was a purchase money, grant or whatever. So she could refinance, not paying, cash out rates. Okay. Bottom line here is making sure at the end of the conversation, make clear to them that you're calling to help them. You aren't a collector, but you're just here to help them. The last statement should be, I'll be calling back every week, every couple of weeks to check up on you. If you have any questions before then, don't hesitate to call me. I'm here to help you. This is just trying to introduce them to the concept that, man, you got a really high flipping rate. It would have been crazy for us to run that thing at 12% or higher. We thought 9 was high, and I'm going, woo. And that's just the first 500. I haven't done all 2,300 and some other. I just did the first 500 just to see what I got. Okay.
Wow.
So
that is mind-boggling.
Yep.
Are you seeing that? Are you seeing that in other states? Are you doing the same thing in other states, or is that just a Colorado thing?
The answer is I haven't done it for anybody else. Here's the truth. The company in California, Kurt said to me, there can't be that many. And I said, well, I can look it up. And he goes, nah, we're not going to chase that. Okay. So I was like, I haven't chased it. And then Georgia, we're barely past NODs. And we did the NODs. We're marketing for hard money loans and for listings. And then we're doing investor. That's the only 2 cohorts they're playing in right now. So they're doing well in those. They're not quite ready to load that in. The next one he wants to load in is the $50,000 in debt or more to do a cash out refinance. Because when I said I think interest rates are going to hit 8%, I think his eyes kind of went a little buggy. And I said, look, this is the chance that you have to refinance these people at a 7.5% rate and pay off a bunch of debt. And then they're going to come back to you later to help you along. So that's their next step. Did she bring my chocolate donut? I want a chocolate donut too.
No, that was Bo sneaking in here.
No, well, did Bo bring me a chocolate donut? I mean,
No.
I'll tell him honestly, cinnamon crumb is my favorite, followed by Krispy Kreme. But I just want to make sure everybody knows that, because when Bo comes into the picture again, he's got to bring donuts. I'm partially related to the real estate industry, therefore I like donuts. We're celebrating in town here because they finally reopened a Krispy Kreme in our town.
Oh, geez.
They had one, and then there was a huge class action lawsuit about 15 years ago, and they all closed in the county. And so there was a very old drive-through, one of the first drive-through mom and pop restaurants here by our mall, and it closed because it was awful and it was terrible. And Krispy Kreme bought it for a song, so they opened yesterday. So it's like,
why was there a lawsuit against Krispy Kreme?
Oh man, it was a franchise lawsuit. So the way that restaurant franchises work is you're supposed to buy your supplies through the franchise supplier. So if it costs, I don't know, $3 a gallon for frosting, you pay $3 a gallon for frosting, even if you can go buy it from another supplier for $1.50. That violates your franchise agreement. So Krispy Kreme found out that the middleman supplier was adding in margin. So the supplier was charging $2 a gallon, or the main supplier, and then this middleman person was charging another $1 a gallon. And so they went at Krispy Kreme and said, okay, here's how this works. We either get it for $2 a gallon or we're out. And 17 Krispy Kremes in 3 counties gone. And they haven't started reopening until the lawsuit said that they couldn't open any other Krispy Kreme franchises for like 12 years or something.
Did you have a riot on your hands? All the people wanting donuts?
We have around here. There's lousy donuts. We opened something called a donut bar. One of these crazy guys, San Diego, opened up a bar that sells donuts too. And when I mean crazy donuts, these things are crazy. They're really good, but you go there and you're like, okay, well, I have some wine or I'll have a shot of whiskey. Oh, by the way, I want that bourbon donut over there, or I want this or whatever. So you can get both of them. So you have a sugar rush and the alcohol at the same time. And it's done pretty well. It's a chain, but it's done pretty well. They're about the only donuts that are, Dunkin' Donuts suck, and we have a Pam's Donuts that's okay, but Krispy Kreme rules, and that's what it works.
I cannot remember the last time I ate a donut, man.
Well, me neither. I'm not supposed to with diabetes, but every now and then there's going to be one. But we've had lousy donuts. It's like I stopped even buying them. It's like around our corner we have a home local bakery. It's called Harvest Bakery. All natural, everything, no preservatives. All the great stuff. And man, they have everything's great. Whether you buy breakfast, whether you buy a lunch sandwich, whether you buy cinnamon rolls, whether you buy pull-aparts, whatever, their sourdough bread, it's incredible. I mean, so it's hard to beat them. So if I got to have a sweet, I'm going to Harvest Bakery. Okay, so the answering machine script is pretty similar. Hi, my name is Dane DeVoy, and I'm calling to follow up on an email I just sent you. Public records indicate that interest rate on your home is really high. So I wanted to let you know that I can be a resource to help you lower your rate and even get money to pay off bills. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to call me. I'll be calling back every couple of weeks to check up on you. Pretty simple. So, this is just going to be hit and miss. This is truly a cold call. There's no, you got a really high interest rate is a pretty big deal. I got to assume that a lot of people aren't doing this. Look, the mortgage companies I work with are all not doing it. So you're in Colorado, there's probably a lot of people that are not calling them.
All we need is a couple, Dane. Just a couple.
So when we're done with this call, I will send that to you. So let's go through a couple of the things that's specific to mortgages right now that everybody should be aware of in the qualifying stuff, okay? I know we've talked about it, but I realized that we probably didn't go through it really deep. So the new buzzword on the street, okay? And it's going to be in all mortgages you deal with, whether they're full qualifying, whether they're bank statement, whether they're non-QM, any of that kind of stuff is residual, okay? Now, the key here is everybody's beginning to adopt this as a way to determine a few things. Number one, there's this huge people that are lobbying the federal government that senior citizens are getting screwed over by loan originators and loan companies all over the world, okay? And so what they're saying to them is, look, you may have paid off their bills, but now there's no money. So it would have been better for them to declare bankruptcy and get rid of the bills and just keep the mortgage than it was paying off the bills with a mortgage, okay? They're calling it elder abuse. And so what's going on is the federal government has adopted new standards that are soft now, that will be hard standards come the end of the year, okay? So a residual income is a certain amount of money left over after everything, okay? So what they'll make you do, and you're going to start seeing, you already do it on VA, but you're going to start seeing it on all the other loans, is you have, okay, Mr. and Mrs. Jones make $1,000 a piece in Social Security, okay? That's it. You're going to look at that, or they have $1,000 on a paycheck, whatever it is. They're going to make you subtract out, for Social Security, they're going to subtract out the Medicare, or they're going to back out the regular paycheck, the taxes, the insurance. They're going to say, okay, you get $1,000, but you're $800 net. They're going to make you do that calculation based on what the tax returns and what the W-2s are saying. Now, you keep hearing me tell you guys, we need tax returns. Yeah, because come next year, you're going to have to do calculations, okay? People use their paycheck stubs as a savings account. Stupidest thing in the world, but they do that, okay? Oh, I'm gonna go single and zero. I know I'm married and 12 kids, but I'm going to go single and zero, and I'm going to let the federal government keep my money for 15 months, and then they're going to give it back to me. It's a bonus. Yeah, anyway, that's what goes on. So the key here is when you finally look at the ultimate tax rate, so whatever it is, their gross income was $100,000, and they paid the federal government 2%. Great, and they paid the state of California, the state of Colorado 0.5%. And then you're going to look at their W-2 and you're going to say, what do they take out for Social Security, for FICA? What do they take out for, in California, we have state disability tax. They're going to make you subtract all those figures and come up with the first figure, okay? And then they're going to take out whatever debt that these people might have left, and the mortgage payment, and they're going to make sure that there's enough money left over to live, okay? And the problem here is each type of loan is going to have a different residual. Right now, on a VA loan, that residual factor is about $582 a month. But you have to subtract out utilities, maintenance on the house. There's a specific figure they give you by square foot. We're going to start having to do this, okay? And so they might make debt ratio, but if they don't make residual, it's going to be a no. And so that's the reason I keep telling you, you need to ask for tax returns. You need to ask for tax returns because these are the things they're looking for, and you're going to get asked for them. You're going to start to get conditions for a Joe Schmo working at McDonald's. All we need is tax returns. And you're going to go, do you ask for a paycheck and a W-2? What the hell do you need tax returns? Well, we need to make sure they meet residual. And it's going to come out of the blue, and you're not going to be ready for it, and no, people won't qualify. So each of the different, Fannie Mae has one calculation, Freddie Mac has another calculation. Mm-hmm. VA has a third calculation. FHA has a fourth calculation. FHA is very similar to VA, okay? Now, here's another whammy to this. On non-taxable income, Social Security, child support, maybe you get spousal support, maybe you get adoption assistance where it's non-taxable. When you go to qualify, you're allowed to gross that up. Each one of those different people have a different way of grossing it up. Like VA, if you made $1,000 on VA, you get to gross that income up 25%. It's non-taxable. So if you make $1,000 Social Security, I can qualify you for $1,250. Problem is, I don't get to use that for the residual calculation. So then you have two calculations. You're going, oh, goody, I get to gross up the Social Security 25%. Oh, crap, now I got to do the residual calculation on the base income. and then you got a problem. You weren't going to qualify. But the reason I'm telling you this is the rumor bill, the back of the house conversations that are going on with the FHFA right now, and what's going on with the CFPB is that the lower income people are getting put into mortgages or loans or credit cards or car payments that they cannot afford. Okay. Gee, what a surprise. You have, Dane's got that $1,995 car payment. Ooh, okay, that's not good. But the key here is by doing it this way and making sure there's a residual, there's going to be a certain percentage of people that don't qualify. And there's no way around it. There is no coaching that I can give them around it that's going to make that work. So when it comes to a cash out refinance, paying off all the debt's better than paying off some of it. If you're trying to get them to qualify for a house, you better find a low tax area. You better find a low, homeowners insurance area. Because if you get high taxes or high homeowners insurance, these people aren't going to qualify. And understand, we're coming into the end of the year where the government's going to make it more difficult. The investors are making it more difficult. We're tightening credit. And now we're going to add a residual calculation. Let's get used to the new norm now before everybody gets hit with it. If we're doing it as a matter of course, go ahead.
I was going to say, I wonder if Lender Homepage will build that in. Well, I'm sure UWM will build it into their, either the pricing model and or their, loan submission. But I wonder if Lender Homepage will build that into Loansify.
Well, you can go look in Dane's loan. He's a VA right now. The residual calculation's on the 2,900.
Okay.
So on a VA and an FHA loan, not only do you have the loan application, I guess it's still called the 1003 or whatever it's called. There's a second one called a HUD/VA or HUD/VA 2,900. Now that form is a 5-page form, and it's a standard, and it goes through how the terms work. It makes you say how much in discount points they're paying, how much in mortgage insurance they're paying, but it also has a whole bunch of boxes down there that make you understand you are or are not a first-time buyer. You have or have not had counseling. You do or do not meet residual. You do or do not understand you're getting a high cost, an HPML, a high cost loan. You do understand what Section 32 is. Now, maybe you guys don't. Do you guys know any of those terms?
Some of them.
Okay, well, let's go through them so you understand. So an HPML loan is one that, based on the calculation, the interest rate and point combination exceeds what the government sets to be the high point.
Yeah.
Okay, this had to do with some of the SAFE Act. Okay, now, right now, probably 80% of the loans don't make the government thing because there's some magical margin that goes between, T-bills and this thing, and you don't make it. I mean, you had one, Chris, that we didn't make HPML, and they said, don't worry about it, we'll fix it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, all right.
There's a form that the client signed at closing that says they understood that they're getting a high cost mortgage, and the mortgage company certifies that there was nothing better to give them, that we weren't, screwing them and trying to gouge them. So they signed that, but that's what an HPML is. Now, the one that will be a problem for us later in Alabama is if property values begin to come down. Section 32 says that a borrower cannot pay any more than 6% in fixed costs.
Yep.
Okay, and that's closing costs. Well, the whammy to that is, on a VA loan, if you've used your veteran VA before, the second time you use it, it's a 3.15 VA funding fee. Okay, that means all the rest of the costs of that VA loan cannot exceed 2.85%. You cannot buy the interest rate down. You're going to be looking for a really high interest rate because that Section 32 exists on a purchase. Okay, on a purchase. You just need to be understanding. On a refinance, there's a little more leniency because you're going to finance it into the loan amount. But on a purchase, that it's written in concrete. On a FHA loan, it's the same thing. It's what you're getting. The upfront mortgage insurance premium is now what, 1.5 or 1 3/4. Okay, well, that comes right off the top, say 4 1/4 to play with. And understand an appraisal is $600 or whatever it is, whether it's a $50,000 purchase or $2 million. So you're going to run into huge problems. Now, below $50,000 loan amount, the Section 32 is 8%. Okay, but you've got to make sure that you're aware of that when you start talking to the lower loan amounts in especially in Alabama. The benefit you guys have going is in Alabama, you're not going to be paying the huge escrow and title fees here. Look, my wife has a piece of land that's sort of negotiating right now to be sold. And a seller's going to carry, so there's no loan stuff or anything, none of those lender fees. The escrow fee is $3,600 between the two for a $400,000 piece of property. So when you look at that, by the time you talk about notary, 1% is gone. So when you're talking about a purchase in two sides, okay, well, there was a half point gone. Then you got title, there's another, half point. So you're going to be a point and a quarter by the time you figure that. And then you got all of our lenders fees. You got credit report, you got appraisal, you got processing, you got the wire transfer fee, you got the recording fees. Maybe you're going to have electronic document fee. You're going to have a flood policy. All of those things are coming out of this Section 32 maximum amount. So you just got to be careful. So when you get one of those types of loans, do you know how to get around it? You have the seller pay closing costs. Okay? Because the seller paying closing costs means that figure gets down. So if there's 8% in costs, or points or whatever, and you get 3% from the seller, now it's only.
Lost your audio, Terry. Lost your microphone. Nope. Nope.
See, I'm back now.
Now you're back.
Yep. Stupid AirPods. Anyway, the point is,
stupid. The only other words.
I know, absolutely. The only thing that, well, they're hot. They've been on all day. The only other way to bring that Section 32 down is for you as a lender to give a lender credit. Okay, so you just want to be prepared that we in Alabama, we got to be very careful of that when we get that $75,000 to $150,000 range. Okay, just be prepared. And then the other thing is, when you get a jumbo loan, the jumbo APR calculations can be ugly. We just want to make sure we're making sure we do that. Non-QM mortgages, DSCR, hard money, ITIN, all those loans are not safe harbor. So it could be 10 points. We don't care. When I started real estate, it was 20% interest rate and 10 points. Wow. That's what it was. It was a lot of fun. You'd have people buying a $120,000 house and putting 10% down, and it costing them $40,000 to close escrow. That was the way it worked. So what can I say? So do you guys kind of understand that thing? HPML, Section 32, the residual are all terms that you're going to want to be able to explain, because people are going to ask you about it. The last explanation, and it's one that I personally would suggest you memorize, and it comes up all the time. And you guys should understand, for 39 of my 43 years, I sat in or signed every single one of my closings. Okay, true story. I used to sign all my own loan documents because I didn't want to trust my clients with an escrow officer. And it was only the last 4 or 5 years that I turned it over to somebody in our office, but I was still there. So the number one question that gets asked at doc signing, why is the APR different than the interest rate? Okay. So here's the explanation, and this is how old I am. When they implemented the truth in lending, the most recent truth in lending disclosures, I was already in the business. So they made us take classes to understand it. So this will tell you how old I am when you hear the explanation. So when you buy a house and you get a mortgage, there are certain costs and fees that if you were paying cash, you would not be paying. Okay, an appraisal, a credit report, the title policy is optional. the wire transfer fee, the lender's processing fees, loan origination, loan discount, all of those things would not necessarily be involved with an all cash purchase. Or back in the day, if you had an American Express card with a large enough credit limit, you could actually buy a house with an American Express credit card. So
well, you're flying for free the rest of your life.
Yeah, pretty close. Well, here's the key. Credit card interest rates and mortgage interest rates were tied together. The government didn't allow them to be really any different. So if you had a 12% credit mortgage rate, you had a 12% credit card rate. Okay, so it was for you to be able to compare a credit card to a mortgage, because a credit card tells you an APR. On a credit card, it's not a fixed term. If you made the minimum payment on a credit card, it's going to take you 32 years to pay off. They don't tell you that. But on a mortgage, that you know exactly what the payments are going to be every month for the next 30 years. So imagine that you had a credit card that you could buy this $120,000 house with your American Express. The answer is you'd be paying just that interest rate. However, and you're financing the same amount. If it's 120, you're putting 120 on that credit card. However, when you're buying a house, you're not putting a $120,000 loan. You're having to pay out of your own money all the other costs, which means when you take the payment that you're going to be making and compare it with the amount that you finance by subtracting the amount that you put into this for closing costs, that's what's giving you an interest rate. So you have the same $1,200 payment, but it's based on a lower loan amount because they're subtracting all the costs that it cost you to get that mortgage. So I always explain to people, look, your credit cards and your mortgages are completely different. You just need to understand they're not the same. An APR is completely different than a note rate, and you don't want to be comparing the two. But if you do, let's go through it. Okay. The other thing is there aren't balloons. The government doesn't allow it on normal financing right now, but you're going to get people that get a hard money loan and want to get balloon, or they have a balloon. I got a phone call yesterday. Remember the loan I told you guys that I did for the lady with the $94,000 HELOC on the $2 million loan in Fontana? Well, they had a year to pay it off. Well, they got their first notice that, oh, by the way, you know, coming up in November, you got to pay it off. And she called. She's like, oh, does that mean we got to start a refinance now? Yes. Oh, my God. I haven't finished the repairs yet. I told you I'd have the repairs done by July 30th. You better have them done by August 30th because I got to get going. What if we're not done? You're going to be a world of hurt. It's probably time to sell the property. Well, but I don't want to sell the property. Well, I've been reminding you every 15 days since, you know, last December that you had to fix the house. So, you know, it's not, you know,
they need to drop social studies in school and have adulting 101 class.
Oh, I know.
There are only I think it's up to 17 states in the United States that require that you take a personal finance class before you graduate.
Well, they should have financial literacy 101. We're not talking about not home economics and law, a financial literacy thing. How to do a bank account. What happens? Look, my daughter turned 21, right? She graduates college. She turns 21, or she turned 21 and graduated college. Every creditor in America is sending her credit card. Oh, you're pre-approved. Oh, you're pre-approved. Oh, you're pre-approved. She never filed a tax return on her own in her life.
And no income.
Oh my God. Discover, American Express. They want to give her credit. It's like, oh man, let's get her in debt.
Sometimes.
That's the American way.
America. Yep.
America.
That started in the 90s. The credit card companies made a concerted effort to market to college kids because they knew the college kid with no income, no credit history would run up the card and call mommy and daddy and say, what do I do? Right. Mommy and daddy don't want him coming out of school with a low FICO, so they pay it off. That's actually part of one of my presentations, part of one of my educational presentations.
Well, one of my sales presentations is.
Tell me that's not predatory lending practices. How the hell do they get away with it? You know?
It is, but the CFPB doesn't care.
Craziness. You know? Absolute craziness.
Look, we go through this every single time that I talk to anybody. So
I know, right?
God, you know, I got nothing nice to say, but just use it wisely. The financial literacy course will be very beneficial, and I would suggest everybody take it, especially kids, so they understand what's a credit card. You know, it's funny. My kids both have bank accounts, and at 16, our credit union will give them a debit card. Well, it's funny to watch the little panic dance when they make a boo-boo, and it costs them $29. Now it's $35, and that was $35 was hard-earned money or birthday money that's now gone because they made a boo-boo. Best thing in the world that's happened. Why? Because they made the boo-boo, and it won't happen again. Oh, I don't want to be overdrawn. Oh, I don't want to do this. You know, oh, I got to get money in my account. So it works great. It was a great financial literacy lesson. So are we pretty clear on what I was talking about tonight? How it's really important we get those tax returns.
That was a good glass half full explanation, Terry. I appreciate that.
Thank you very much. You know, can I say glass half full?
Positive, man. I like it.
Positive. I like it. We got to be ready. We got to be, because the next step in life is going to be, you know, I sent you the article about, you know, what's going on with credit card and car payments, how they're being delinquent. I texted you guys that article, and it's true. We're now worse than before the pandemic, and it will continue to go up. And we're seeing, you know, when I do my target list, we're beginning to see the upside down people and notice default people. The average net worth is going down, and those average net worth people, you know, going down means they become distressed properties. And those distressed properties will sell for whatever they can get for it. They're not going to hold out for the best price, which means that people that can hold out for the best price will be undercut by the distressed property. And that's what's coming. People just don't seem to get that one. So, and I think, I don't remember if that was that article or another one was telling everybody, look, you know, we're going to see 5% rates. 5% unemployment, you know, by the second quarter of next year. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, great. That's what we're going to see.
Hey, so we got a couple extra minutes. Let's talk through that a little bit. So new CPI numbers came out today. It was slightly lower, but of course the market's traded up, and everybody on Bloomberg is like, oh, the Fed's done hiking and yada, 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 and all that. What do you think, Terry?
I don't see it that. When you actually do the core inflation rate, it's still more than 175% higher than what, you know, what the government's going to accept. And the stock market only closed up 52, and the Dow, what did it close?
Yeah.
The S&P closed up a point.
There's still a huge disconnect, man. There is still a huge disconnect.
Well, you know, I had a seminar that I had to give one of the days this week, and I actually broke it out far as widgets go, and I actually broke out Apple, and I said, okay, so Apple said that they sold X amount of Apple computers, not the iPhone, but the Mac computers. And I said, okay, so do you see a problem? So I actually did the math. And so they raised the price, the average price of a Mac, 12%. Sales were down 3%, okay? So the reality was they sold 15% fewer widgets because they raised prices 12%, they lost 3% in sales, they sold 15% fewer widgets. And when we finally got down to the numbers, it was a significant drop in the numbers, which affects badly across the board. And what is that? Well, Apple has a superstructure to support. They got an app store, you know, they got iPhones. Well, if everybody gets in the ecosystem, they're really happy. And then we'll sell you accessories, and we'll sell you defective iPods, and we'll sell you, you know, we'll sell you this, we'll sell you that. But if fewer people are buying their mainstream stuff, that means fewer people are joining the ecosystem, which means fewer people are going to feed the ecosystem, which means you're heading for a discretionary problem.
Yeah, and your flipping mouse is raising my subscription on my Disney Plus too. 22, 23%, whatever it was.
Yeah, well, you should buy it at an annual subscription, and then it's a lot cheaper, and then you don't have to worry about it.
I think maybe we did. I don't know. I'm just being a wise ass. But yeah, first of all, he hacks all the talent at ESPN. Now he's raising my Disney Plus, man.
They'll sell ESPN. They will sell ESPN
Good.
as quick as they can say boo.
Good.
To somebody who's going to appreciate it and really work.
Yeah.
I don't know who it's going to be, but I do know that they'll sell it off. When you look at, they released, I love their numbers. their interior numbers are fun, but the exterior numbers is saying that the revenue per guest is up. Well, when you subtract out when you do a little bit of math and you subtract out how high they raised admission prices, what they say internally is the spend per guest, which is the internal spending on food and tchotchkes, is significantly down 26% most recent quarter.
And they shuttered the Star Wars specific hotel down in Disney World before I even had a chance to go. I'm not happy about that either.
I know. Well, have you
hey man, is Knott's Berry Farm still open in California?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, we're gonna boycott the mouse. We're gonna go to Knott's Berry Farm.
Okay, make sure you bring a gun.
Oh, is it rough?
Oh yeah.
We have both of them when I was a kiddo. I remember Knott's Berry Farm.
Yeah, well, Knott's Berry Farm is so we have 2 other theme parks, or 3 other in Southern California. We have Universal Studios, we have Six Flags Magic Mountain, and then we have Knott's Berry Farm. So those are the ones in Southern California. Magic Mountain for a long time was like gang heaven, because they didn't have a policy that said if you show up, you have to be with a parent. So all these gangbangers would show up, and it turned into race wars.
Oh,
and
great.
So what happened was Magic Mountain changed the scenario, and it's like, okay, well, if we suspect that you're walking around the park without your parents and you're under 18 years old, you go home. Bye. We don't want you.
86.
So then what do? They just relocated to Knott's Berry Farm. And I mean, if you go and search it, there are gang fights and this and that. I mean, security is, extremely tight. Knott's Berry Farm has some good stuff. There's some really nice family stuff at Knott's Berry Farm. The one that we haven't been to in a while, but my son wants to go hit. I mean, we love Disney. You got to understand, we've been Disney pass holders, and me working for Disney gets us a lot of great stuff. But Universal Studios, Harry Potter Land is great. So is Mario Brothers. Those things are really cool. But if you haven't been to a Disney with a Star Wars land, you have to go.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's California or Florida. If you
Casey's got to get as tall as the monkey's hand first, so she can go on the rides.
Yep.
We didn't go to the county fair here because Bo's tall enough and Casey wasn't, and that was a recipe for disaster. So
when you finally get ready to decide to go, get a hold of me, and I'll tell you when to go. I'll help you get the discount. And then if you really want to make it a big, huge honk of magical vacation, do the Disney dining plan. Okay. And I'm saying this with all fairness. By getting the Disney dining plan, you get to make advanced reservations at all the best restaurants. And here's the cool part. It comes with your drink. Could be alcoholic. It comes with your main course, an appetizer, a dessert. And you get to pick, and you get reservations to all these restaurants, and you're not paying for it. So you sit there, you look at the price, and you go, wow, you can go and dine in the Beauty and the Beast castle, and you're going, wow, look at that, dessert was $26. My steak was $75. You're not paying that, okay?
My cupcake was $26.
Well, no, they have the gray brain material stuff. They have a bunch of great stuff. But the point is, you're not paying that. And then the other benefit to it is they give you a go to the counter meal once a day. They give you a sit down at the dinner, sit down dinner. So you go have dinner for your daughter in Sleeping Beauty's castle. Okay. And the princesses all come to your table. Okay. And that, when you talk, if you have a daughter that's into princesses, there's nothing better than sitting in a castle and having Cinderella come up to you and take your picture and interact with you. You're not having to stand in line. They're coming to your table, and you're sitting there eating prime rib and drinking red wine, and it's free because you've already paid for it in your admission, and you get a great deal on it. They do the same thing, the Frozen Castle. You go to the Epcot, it's worth it. Absolutely worth it.
We got a ways. Case has got to get some vertical on her. So
yep. But when you finally get to that, we did that. So when my wife and I got pregnant with Matthew, we didn't want Giselle to feel left out. So we went to Disney World, and we actually took a Disney cruise at the same time when Giselle was 6. And we went at a time when there wasn't a whole lot of people there. And man, we were treated like royalty the whole time. And my daughter dressed up as a different princess every single day. We got up early. We dressed her up as a princess, and we would walk in. And then the princesses that were her princess, like she was dressed up as Cinderella that day, these princesses would go nuts. We're twins. Take my picture. They would. I mean, it was. We have some of the best pictures, and we didn't wait on virtually any wines. We ate at all the best restaurants. You know, she went to all the castles. It was a great vacation. And then when Matthew was about 13 or 14, I finally had the money to be able to go back because it, you know, it had grown in expense. We didn't do the cruise, but we did go 10 days and 8 nights, and you know, ate up a storm, stayed, you know, in really nice hotel, and we went crazy.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Good
so when
stuff.
you get ready, either of you will do that. Well, I'll help you set up what to do.
Hey, I'm going to give you a heads up on Monday. We might have to stop the call a little early. I got a 6 p.m. my time follow-up call with that referral from John. That was the only time they could do it.
No
so
problem.
we might have to
That's great.
cut it like 10 minutes early. So
no problem. Anything you'd like to ask Dane or anything you want to go through, Dane?
I'll stay on Ann's stuff and get that all hopefully squared away.
I was gonna say, I saw the emails. It sounds like that's moving forward, right? Got what you need and everything, or
for the most part, yeah. Well, I mean, it's like anything else. So Terry, I went ahead and asked her for like her most current 2-month statements for everything because she had given us everything, you know what I'm saying, a couple months ago, but now that stuff is a little bit dated.
DOA.
Yep. So, but she's easy. She's never not in contact for the most part. So that's
has the new AE been responsive?
I think good enough. I think he's a pretty busy dude.
Yeah.
So he usually calls rather than emails, but that's cool.
He told me he's closed over 6,000 loans at his time at UWM.
Yeah.
And before that he was a broker. So
yeah.
All the better. We will win by having that level of experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll just have to get on. I probably have to get on the phone with Credco to make sure that stuff all goes through.
Yeah, he sounded solid. So yeah.
Okay, groovy.
Cool. All right. So appreciate it, guys.
I will see you day next week, and I'll see you tomorrow morning, Chris.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.